Hello everyone and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. I never in a million years would have thought that I would be starting a YouTube channel, but here we are. When I was younger, even when I was 15, I used to watch all the great YouTubers, Michelle Phan, Andrea's Choice, It's My Ray Ray. I used to watch all these women and I used to be so inspired by them. I always wanted to be exactly like them, but I never plucked the courage to be able to do so. So now I can finally say hi guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So yeah, let's get started. Let's start with this. So first of all, from the title of the video, you know exactly what I'm going to be talking about. There's always like such a massive difference between starting something and not starting something, if you know what I mean. It sometimes can be really hard to pluck up the courage to be like, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for it. And this month of August 2020, I said to myself, Rachel, do you know what? You need to pull up your socks, you need to buck up your ideas, and let's get some ish done. This week, I said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna do everything I said I never thought I was gonna do. So the YouTube channel is one of them. And that brings us to the start of the topic. The reason why I wanted to start my video and start my channel with 21 lessons in 21 years is because I never got to really reflect the age of me turning 21. The age of 21 was kind of solidifying adulthood. When you turn 18, you're legally an adult in London or in England or the UK, but you're still kind of finding your feet. But when you're 21, it's like, whoa, you're 21. Do you know what I mean? So I wanted to go over the 21 things I'd learned as wisdom for those who are younger than me, those who are the same age as me, those who are older than me, and really just reflect on the lessons which I've learned. So let's start with lesson number 1. So whatever you're worrying about probably wouldn't matter by next year. And it's something which occurs a lot in our younger years. When we're in our younger years, we find things a lot more kind of serious. So let's say in reception, if you broke a crayon when you were coloring, you might have been like, oh my gosh, the world's gonna end. And then let's say when you're in secondary school or high school, you might have, got detention for bunking school. Okay, I hope no one bunks school, but as an example, then that might have been the end of the world. So like as we grow older and older, sometimes the things which we thought were serious or we thought were so bad actually tend not to be in the next year or so. Whatever you're experiencing right now in this very moment, if you can't control it, it's okay. It's probably not going to matter in a year or two from now. You'll adjust, you will adapt and you will heal. That's what life is all about, So that's lesson number 1. The second thing is keeping your standards high. Now, when I say keeping your standards high, I mean that in every aspect, from men, women, appearance, nails, hair, outfits, whatever. Keeping your standards high in every aspect when you go outside. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to come across. The person that you come across could be your future boss, could be your future partner, like a business partner, could be your future life partner. But it's all determined on how you carry yourself. If you carry yourself in high standards, expect the people who are around you and who you will attract to also be of high standards. Never lower your standards, because there is someone out there who appeals to you, whether that's romantically or business-wise or whatever it is. There is someone out there who appeals to the standards that you have. Learn to love money. Learn to appreciate it. That's what I should have probably said. Learn to appreciate money. And what I mean by that is, if money comes into your life, don't use and abuse it. Money is attracted to people who care for it, who know what to do with it, and who are experienced with it. Learn more about finances, learn more about money so you can learn to appreciate it, because then it will last a lot longer in your life. Here to listen and not to reply. Learn to understand and learn to listen to people when they speak to you. This is something which I've struggled with, and I used to be a person who I would only listen to someone in order to speak. So like, let's say if I'm having a conversation with someone and they're talking, immediately in my head, I'm thinking about how I'm going to respond to them. But rarely did I ever just stop and listen, like genuinely listen to what they say. And I feel like listening is a skill which still has to be learned today. I'm sure we have so many conversations with so many different people where we might be rambling on, we might be going on and on and on, and we never tend to listen to them. Especially in a time where mental health is becoming so much more important and so much more valued. hearing something or being able to listen carefully and understand a person could really help them when it came to, let's say, if they were on the verge or borderline depressed. We might not be experienced in what they're talking about, or be experienced in, let's say, what they might be worrying about, but we can have the ability to listen. Guard your heart. Now, this is something which I learned from Breenie Lee, who's a YouTuber on YouTube. She was speaking about this idea where don't put a wall up and cut everyone out, because you might cut out goodness. With the badness, you cut out goodness, and you might start blocking people from entering your life, people who may be good for you. But learn to have your heart as a gate. You know, have it as a gate that can open and close to the people who are good and to be close to the people who are bad. Stop talking, instead make moves. This is a lesson which I've experienced multiple times. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this thing where it's kind of like, if you speak about a goal too much, sometimes it becomes harder to achieve. So I'll give you an example. When I was in secondary school, I really wanted to start a blog. I was so excited. I wanted to do a blog. I kept on talking about it to everyone in my school. And it got to the point where I was talking so much about writing a blog that I felt accomplished by talking about it. And I never actually wrote it. It took me, I think, 5 years. I think it took me 3 to 5 years to actually start a blog and to actually start the brand I wanted to create, because I felt so accomplished by speaking about my goals. Sometimes it takes you to just be quiet, put your head down, put the work in, and let your actions speak for you. That's why as well, I didn't consult anyone. I literally decided to do a YouTube channel today. I didn't consult anyone about it. I just said, you know what, I'm going to do this today and this is going to happen now. Because the more you talk about it, sometimes it tars it. Sometimes it makes you feel accomplished. You know, when you get praise from people, if you say, oh, by the way, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, and they're like, oh my gosh, girl, that's so good. But that praise feeds your ego and inhibits you and makes it even more harder. Become a good judge of character. Now, this one relates to my mum. My mum, I would say, is a very, very good judge of character. And I think that's because she's very good at observing situations. Sometimes when, let's say, you're entering a situation or a scenario or a room, and you start to read the room, instead of talking, as soon as you step into the room talking, try to observe it. Try to see the room. Try to read the room. See who's, let's say, a leader in the room. See who's an introvert in the room. Start to look at people's body languages. You never judge people on what you think, but you always judge them based on how they act. What do they do? How do they talk about people? How do they treat staff? And so forth. It's good to start to, come across people and put yourself in environments, in clubs or societies where people are like you. So whether that's, let's say if you're a gym fanatic, go to the gym, go to a few classes and start to meet up and become friends with people who also like that kind of stuff. You know, I feel like as humans, because we are never the same, we are always adapting and we are always changing. Our views are going to change, our hobbies are going to change, our interests are going to change, and that's okay. Obviously, with that will change the different people who are surrounded by those things. You know, Les Brown, I believe, had a video. Oh no, he had an audio. And in the audio, he said that he has different friends for different reasons. Obviously, not to be like, okay, well, I'm only going to hang out with you because of that. But more so as a thing of things that he had in common with the different friendship groups. So he would have a friendship group for church. He would have a friendship group for fitness. He would have a friendship group for Bible study. And all these different scenarios were, I guess, the different types of people who are, I guess, expertise or very good at those fields. Learn your minimum functional sleep pattern. So what I mean by this is, obviously it's not recommended long term, but guys, if you are planning to be an entrepreneur, if you're planning to have your own business, if you're planning just to become successful in whatever it is, be prepared to do some overnights or all-nighters, whatever you want to call them. When I was in uni, obviously studying architecture is probably one of the hardest degrees, I'm not gonna lie. I bust my ass for that degree. But it required me to do a lot of overnights or all-nighters. And one thing I had to learn is what was my optimal sleeping pattern. I knew that I could survive four hours a night of sleep and still be functionable in the morning. Of course, that is not recommended long term. I'm not recommending people to get 4 hours of sleep, but I am saying if there's a time when you need to grind, you need to grind. You know, Steve Harvey put a video out there where he spoke about rich people don't sleep. There might be a time where you're gonna have to grind hard and expect to grind hard, expect not to sleep for a couple of hours or a couple of days. You know, Beyonce is a perfect example. She went, I think, 3 days when she was doing the Formation tour, I believe, or the Beyonce album, and she didn't eat for 3 days and she didn't even realize, or she didn't sleep, one of the two. But, you know, the successful people who are the best at their craft, the reason why they're the best at their craft is because they're extraordinary. And they do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. So be prepared for that if you want to go down that route. Don't listen to people who don't have the results that you want. Now, this one is something which I've learned from many success gurus, and it's something which reigns so true. If you want to be a motivational speaker, you're not going to speak to your lecturer who's a historian. Start to listen to people who have the results that you want. That's something I had to learn, and that even includes yourself. For me, I had to stop listening to myself because I do not have the results I want. So that little voice in my head, which is like, Rachel, I mean, you don't have to start a YouTube channel. Rachel, I mean, you know, you don't have to work hard in what you're doing. I had to stop listening to that voice because that voice was driving me into the gutter, and I had to start listening to people who were successful, who had the results I wanted. So definitely listening to people who have the results you want is a very important lesson. I would say highlight that lesson and try to practice it every day, because you will be surprised at how many times a day the little voice in your head is going to start yapping away. You will be surprised. Learn what your main 2 love languages are. Now, some of you might have heard of what love languages are, but basically the love languages are like different types of ways to show affection, and each person usually has a main 2 or 3 out of the 5. So knowing your love languages will really help, especially when it comes to compatibility of the people that you date. If, let's say, you date someone who completely hates physical touch and you love to be physically touched, then maybe that's not someone that you would go for. Or let's say if both of you guys love physical touch, then yeah, match made in heaven. So yeah, that's just a little indication, but it's also good to understand and know and be clear on what are the things that you like, especially when you're considering someone else's opinions and feelings into it as well. As you get older, do not lose the spark to do big things. This is something which I believe might not agree with everyone, but I'm going to say it anyway because this is how I feel. As I get older, I will not lose that spark to do the big things. And the reason why I say that is because we see so many people who settle down for things which they're clearly outgrown, but they settle down for them because they lose the drive to do things which their heart desired. You hear all these stories of, let's say, women and men leaving their jobs, and in fact not even leaving their jobs to do their own thing and become an entrepreneur as such, but to leave their jobs to do another job which they have more passion in, or to sacrifice something, let's say go part-time instead of full-time to focus more on their own business. You know, if you have goals and dreams which you dream about in your sleep, pull them out of your sleep and start making them real. You never regret following your dreams. And sometimes, even if you do follow your dreams, even if you do make the sacrifice and it doesn't turn out well, you're going to learn a lesson. It's not a bad thing. It's not a failure. It's just a lesson. And for all you know, that could lead you to the next step. As a sign from me to you, if you've got an idea which you want to act on it now, please, for me, because I wanted to start a YouTube from years ago, 3-4 years ago, and only now I'm doing it. So yeah, choose a mentor. Choose a mentor, whether that is a physical one, a book, a YouTube channel, whatever it is, choose a mentor. Now, the reason why I say that is because sometimes when we're learning, when we're growing, and we still grow past adulthood, don't let people fool you that we don't grow and we don't learn past adulthood. When we're learning and growing, it's good for us to look at someone or to focus on someone who has the results or who is an expert in that field. That's how you grow, by looking at someone by being in the environment of someone who is higher than you. The very, very cliche saying of, if you're around 5 millionaires, you will be the 6th millionaire. If you're around 5 professional basketball players, you will be the 6th professional basketball player. People who are very successful in what they do love what they do. Beyonce loves what she does. You know, Gary Vee loves what he does. All these people love what they do, and that's why they've become so successful at it. So what better way to learn from someone who has that same passion that maybe you have, but just at a different stage? Nature always takes its course. Whatever is unnatural, don't fight it. Don't fight it. Now, I want to use an example. Now, let's say there's a massive field, and let's say a property management development company buys it and they start concreting over it. Eventually, what's going to happen, guys? If you concrete over soil, the grass will find a way to go through the cracks and it will grow again. And unless you keep maintaining it, having to cut it down every single month, that grass will continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. And there's been so many scenarios in my life where even if it's stuff which has been dishonest, that stuff, because it's not natural, because it's not good, because it's not neutral, that those things don't last. Let's say if you're working on something, and if you're working on something which may not be natural to you or natural to your talent, you might have to work so hard to get anywhere or get somewhere with it. But that's based solely because that's not your natural state. And I would definitely say, allow nature to take its course. Allow things to happen the way they should. Take a few moments during the day to breathe and to be mindful. How often do you guys just kind of, if you're out on a morning walk, if you're walking to work, if you're walking in the office, or if you're walking home, back from the gym, if you're at home, how often do you stop and appreciate what's going on around you? How often do you stop and appreciate the breeze or the sounds or the birds? I feel like because technology has definitely taken over our lives in a sense of with our phones, watches, everything that we look at now is either a device. Sometimes it can be really hard to appreciate and be mindful of nature or be mindful of the very present moment because we're always sucked into either the past or the present. We're either looking at stuff from the past, worrying about stuff from the past, or worrying about stuff from the present. From the future. We're never really in the now. We're never really in the present. So take some moments during your day to appreciate it. A book I would recommend to help with that is called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. The last and very final lesson, which I believe is the very, 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 very most important one. Lesson number 21. Discover your purpose and let that carry you. Why I say that is, discovering your purpose might be very difficult. It might take you years, and your purpose might change. It probably most likely will change. We as humans, we're always adapting, we're always changing. You might have more than one purpose. There's so many things. It's not just so straightforward and easy as saying, okay, discover your purpose, here you are, you're done. It does take a lot of time to establish it, to develop it and so forth. But guys, I will say this, finding out what you're good at and what you love and what you're passionate about will carry you far, because even when in times when you're feeling down, you don't want to carry on, you can't be bothered, you don't want to progress no more, you want to give up, even in that time, your love and your passion for your purpose is going to carry you through, compared to, let's say, if you didn't have passion for something that you were doing. There's been times where I've wanted to change my career choice. There's been times where I've just been like, you know what, maybe I should just do something else. But my mind wouldn't allow me to, because I knew that my purpose is between it. Some people might be asking, well, how do I discover my purpose? I feel like that's a video in itself, because once again, it's not that easy. It took me a while to learn, and it takes people a lifetime to discover too. But I do believe it will help so much, and it will help you when it comes to reaching some sort of, even reaching self-actualization within a lifetime. We are done, and I am choking up, but I did it. We did it. Thank you so much, guys, for reaching me at the end of this video. I hope you learned something as well as I did when it came to my 21 lessons in 21 years of living. Obviously, there's so many more that could be said, and there's so many more lessons to come for the years. But I do think it's amazing to just sit back. It's really important to sit back and appreciate where you are right now. Appreciate the year you've had. Appreciate the hard times you've come through and the challenges that you've overcome. Because the reason why I've been able to recite 21 lessons and probably more is because I've been able to go through so many situations where I've had to learn from it. And I'm sure you've got loads as well. So guys, write in the comments below any lessons which you've learned in your years. Tell me what lesson you liked the most and suggest any more lessons down below as well. Thank you so much for joining me at the end. I'm so happy. Take care. Love you lots. Bye.